The shower water kept running. I sat alone at the kitchen table with Emma's phone beside my coffee cup. The screen lit up again. Adrian, I miss you already. Tonight felt worth every risk. I stared at the message for several seconds. 3 years ago, my hands would have shaken. Tonight they didn't move at all. I quietly unlocked the phone, took another screenshot, and sent it to the hidden folder I had built over the years. Hotel receipts, photos, messages, bank transfers, a complete map of my wife's double life. Mark. Emma's voice echoed from upstairs. Yeah. Can you check if Ryan finished his homework? I'll ask him. I placed the phone exactly where she had left it and walked toward my son's room. Ryan looked up from his desk. Mom's still in the shower. Yeah. He smiled. Can you help me with this math problem later? Of course. He stretched and yawned. You and Mom are doing that anniversary dinner next week, right? That's the plan. You should take her somewhere expensive. I forced a small smile. Maybe. Ryan grinned. She deserves it. Those words hurt more than Adrian's message. Get your homework done first. Yes, sir. I closed his door gently. For a moment, I leaned against the hallway wall and closed my eyes. 3 years of silence sat inside my chest like a stone. The first message had appeared on a rainy Thursday night. Emma had fallen asleep on the couch. Her phone buzzed. I picked it up, expecting a work email. Instead, I saw, Adrian, I can't stop thinking about your kiss. I remembered staring at the screen until the letters blurred. Emma opened her eyes and smiled sleepily. Who is it? I heard myself answer, wrong number. That lie became the beginning of everything. I went downstairs. Emma entered the kitchen wrapped in a white robe, her hair damp from the shower. You look tired, she said. Long day. She kissed my cheek. I made reservations for dinner tomorrow. Sounds good. She poured herself tea. Ryan says you're helping him with math. I promised. She smiled warmly. You're such a good father. I looked at her. And you're such a good wife. The question escaped before I could stop it. She blinked. What? I took a sip of coffee. I said you're a good wife. Her shoulders relaxed. You scared me for a second. Why would that scare you? She laughed softly. I don't know. You sounded serious. I am serious. She reached for my hand. I know work has been stressful, but we're okay. The word felt almost cruel. Yeah, I said quietly. We're okay. My phone buzzed. Lucas. I answered. Hey. You sound exhausted. I'm fine. That's a lie. Emma carried her tea into the living room, giving me privacy without realizing why I needed it. Lucas lowered his voice. Did she get another message? 10 minutes ago. Damn. I'm adding it to the file. He exhaled slowly. 3 years, Mark. I know. You don't have to keep doing this. I do. Why? I looked toward the living room where Emma was laughing at something on television. Because Ryan deserves the truth when it comes. And you? What about me? Don't you deserve peace? I didn't answer immediately. Maybe later. Lucas sighed. I hate hearing you sound this empty. I'm not empty. What are you then? Patient. He was quiet for a moment. Call me if tonight gets bad. It won't. After I hung up, Emma called from the living room. Dinner tomorrow is at 7. Don't be late. I won't. She smiled again, the same smile that had once convinced me I was the luckiest man alive. At dinner the next evening, Ryan talked non-stop about school. Emma laughed at his jokes. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. See, she said, this is what matters. I looked at our son. Yeah, I said, this is what matters. Her phone buzzed in her purse. She didn't check it. She didn't need to. I already knew who it was. After Ryan went upstairs, Emma kissed me goodnight. I love you. I looked into her eyes. Good night, Emma. She hesitated, waiting for the words I no longer gave freely. When she disappeared into our bedroom, I sat alone in the dark kitchen. I opened the hidden folder on my laptop. Hundreds of files stared back at me. For 3 years I had protected the marriage, protected Ryan, protected the illusion. At the bottom of the folder was a document titled Reasons to Keep Trying. I opened it. One sentence remained. Maybe she will choose us. I highlighted the words. Delete. The screen went blank. For the first time in 3 years, I stopped waiting for my wife to save our marriage. I closed the laptop quietly and whispered into the empty kitchen, the time has finally come. The rain tapped softly against my office window as I opened the hidden folder again. Lucas walked in without knocking. You've been staring at that screen for 20 minutes. I know. You didn't sleep, did you? I shook my head. No. He sat across from me. You've reached the point where you have to decide what comes next. I've been deciding for 3 years. No, he said quietly. You've been surviving. His words stayed with me. I leaned back in my chair. Do you remember the first night I called you? Every word. I thought I was losing my mind. You weren't. I wanted someone to tell me the message wasn't real. Lucas sighed. I wish I could have. The memory returned without warning. 3 years earlier, Emma had stepped onto the back porch with her phone pressed against her ear. She thought I was upstairs. I heard her laughing. Not the polite laugh she used with coworkers. Not the soft laugh she shared with Ryan. It was different. Playful. Happy. I miss you too, she whispered. I froze behind the hallway wall. A few seconds later she said, No, he doesn't suspect anything. My heart stopped. She ended the call before walking inside. When she saw me in the kitchen, she smiled naturally. There you are. Who were you talking to? My cousin. You seemed happy. She laughed. We were remembering old family vacations. I smiled back. I'd like to hear those stories sometime. You will. That night she fell asleep beside me while I stared at the ceiling until sunrise. The next morning I called Lucas. I think Emma is cheating. There was silence. Finally he asked, What happened? I told him everything. He didn't interrupt once. When I finished, he said quietly, Before you accuse her, make sure you're right. I hope I'm wrong. I know. Back in the present, Lucas rubbed his forehead. I still remember how broken you sounded. I was. And now? I'm tired. Ryan suddenly knocked on the office door. Dad! Come in. He stepped inside carrying his backpack. You working late again? Just finishing something. He looked between Lucas and me. You two seem serious. Lucas smiled. Business problems. Ryan nodded. Mom says you've both been stressed for months. I forced a smile. She's right. He hesitated. Did I do something wrong? My chest tightened. No. You and Mom barely talk anymore. We're just busy. I miss when we all watched movies together. So do I. Ryan smiled weakly. Maybe this weekend. I'll try. After he left, I closed the door slowly. He notices everything, Lucas said. I know. That's another reason you can't wait forever. I won't. A week later, I sat inside a quiet coffee shop across from a woman wearing a navy blazer. She placed a business card on the table. Sarah Bennett, private investigator. You were referred by Mr. Lucas Carter. Yes. She studied me carefully. You believe your wife is having an affair. I don't believe it anymore. You know. Yes. She opened a notebook. Tell me about the other man. I only know his first name. Adrian. She wrote it down. Do you want proof for court or peace of mind? I answered immediately. Both. She nodded. I'll need patience from you. I've already waited 3 years. For the first time, her expression softened. Then a few more months won't break you. I hope not. Over the following weeks, she rarely called. Instead, she sent short messages. Meeting confirmed. Photos secured. Hotel verified. Each notification felt heavier than the last. One afternoon, she asked me to meet her. She slid a sealed envelope across the table. I think you should prepare yourself. I opened it. Inside were photographs. Emma, Adrian, holding hands, laughing, leaving a hotel together. My hands stayed perfectly still. Sarah watched me closely. You expected this. I did. Then why do you look heartbroken? because expecting pain doesn't stop it from hurting. She remained silent. There are also financial records. She handed me another folder. Hotel payments, restaurant bills, weekend trips. Everything was carefully organized. This covers almost 3 years. I swallowed hard. So it never stopped. No. She looked directly into my eyes. I'm sorry. I closed the folder. What else? There is something you need to know. I waited. I've investigated many affairs. And most end within months. My stomach tightened. This one didn't. No. She folded her hands. From everything I've gathered, your wife and Adrian built an entire second relationship. The room suddenly felt smaller. Are you sure? I don't bring opinions to clients. She gently pushed another envelope toward me. I bring evidence. I stared at it without opening it. Sarah spoke softly. I know this isn't what you wanted. No. What do you want now? For a long moment I couldn't answer. 3 years earlier I wanted my marriage back. Now, I wasn't even sure I wanted Emma anymore. I looked at Sarah. I used to ask whether my marriage could survive. And now? I slowly placed both folders into my briefcase. Now I'm asking a different question. What question? I stood up. How do I want my story to end? The morning of our wedding anniversary felt strangely ordinary. Emma stood in front of the bedroom mirror adjusting a pair of silver earrings. She smiled at me through the reflection. Can you believe it's 18 years? I buttoned my shirt. It went by fast. She laughed. You're getting sentimental. Maybe. She walked over and straightened my tie. You still don't know where I'm taking you tonight. I'll pretend to be surprised. You'd better. She kissed my cheek before picking up her phone. The screen lit for less than a second. Her smile changed. It was small, private, gone almost immediately. She slipped the phone into her purse. Ready? I'm ready. Ryan came downstairs wearing a clean blue shirt. You two actually look happy today. Emma laughed. Why wouldn't we? Because Dad works too much. She looked at me. See? Even Ryan noticed. I've been busy. She reached for my hand. Tonight is just us. I nodded. Just us. The restaurant overlooked the river. Soft music filled the room. A waiter poured sparkling water into our glasses. Emma raised hers. To many more anniversaries. I touched my glass to hers. To honesty. She hesitated for half a second before smiling again. Honesty. We ordered dinner. She asked about work. I answered calmly. I asked about her volunteer committee. She lied just as calmly. Halfway through the meal, her phone vibrated beneath the table. She didn't look at me. She looked down. Her fingers moved quickly. Then she smiled. What made you smile? I asked. Oh. She looked up immediately. Sophia sent a funny picture. Can I see it? She locked the screen. You wouldn't understand the joke. I might. She laughed lightly. Trust me. I smiled back. I always trusted you. The words landed between us like a stone. She looked away first. Dinner continued. She talked about vacations, future plans, a kitchen remodel. I listened to every word while wondering how someone could discuss the future with one man while planning another life with someone else. On the drive home, she rested her hand on mine. I had a wonderful night. I'm glad. Weren't you happy? I was thinking. About work again? No. Then what? I kept my eyes on the road. About how much people can change. She gave me a curious look. I hope not too much. Neither of us spoke for the rest of the drive. The next afternoon, my phone rang. Sarah, I have another report. I'll meet you. She arrived carrying a thick envelope. This investigation keeps getting worse. I accepted the folder. What did you find? She spread several photographs across the table. Emma and Adrian boarding a train. Emma and Adrian checking into a hotel. Emma laughing with her head resting on his shoulder. The date stretched across nearly 3 years. There are also travel records. She handed me printed receipts. Weekend trips. Conference registrations. Restaurant bills. I turned another page. They traveled on our anniversary 2 years ago. Sarah nodded quietly, while you believed she was attending a charity event. I closed my eyes. I remember buying flowers that weekend. I'm sorry. I took a slow breath. Anything else? She hesitated. There are financial transfers. From who? Your wife. To Adrian? No. I looked up. He has been paying for almost everything. My stomach tightened. So this wasn't about money. No. Sarah folded her hands. I think this became an emotional relationship a long time ago. I stared silently at the photographs. Every smile belonged to another version of Emma, one I had never truly known. That evening I arrived home just as Ryan walked into the hallway. Dad. Hey. Mom's in the backyard. What are you doing? Homework. He stopped walking. Can I ask something? Of course. Are you and Mom okay? Why would you ask? He looked uncomfortable. I heard her talking on the phone yesterday. My heartbeat quickened. What did you hear? She said, just give me more time. He shrugged. I figured she was talking to one of her friends. I stayed silent. Ryan frowned. You think that's weird too? What else did she say? I don't know. I didn't want to listen. He looked embarrassed. I know it's rude. You did the right thing. He smiled nervously. Mom would never do anything to hurt us. I forced myself to answer. I hope you're right. He walked upstairs without another word. I stood alone in the hallway. Hope had disappeared from my life years ago. Emma stepped inside carrying a basket of laundry. There you are. Here I am. She smiled. Ryan says you've been quiet lately. I'm tired. She walked closer. You know you can tell me anything. I almost laughed. Instead I asked, could you? What do you mean? If you were hiding something. She interrupted immediately. I'm not. The answer came too quickly. She kissed my cheek. I love you. I know. Later that night, after she had fallen asleep, her phone vibrated again. One preview appeared across the screen. Adrian, you promised you'd leave him. I won't wait forever. I quietly placed the phone back on the nightstand. For the first time, I realized Adrian believed I knew nothing. Emma believed the same. They thought they were controlling every move. Neither of them understood they were slowly building the case that would destroy every lie they had ever told. I looked at Emma sleeping peacefully beside me. Every smile, every promise, every gentle word now carried a hidden meaning. I no longer struggled to discover the truth. I struggled to decide when they deserved to face it. Rebecca Sloane's office overlooked the city skyline. The walls were lined with law books instead of expensive artwork. She stood as I walked in and offered her hand. Mr. Carter. Please. Mark. I'm Rebecca Sloane. I shook her hand. Thank you for seeing me. She motioned toward the chair across from her desk. Lucas told me a little about your situation. He probably left out the worst parts. I'd rather hear them from you. I placed Sarah's investigation file on her desk. I've been married for 18 years. She nodded. My wife has been having an affair for 3. Rebecca remained silent while opening the folder. She slowly examined photographs, hotel invoices, bank records, and phone logs. Several minutes passed before she finally looked up. You've been collecting this a long time. I wanted the truth. And now you have it. I do. She folded her hands. What do you want? I don't know. She smiled gently. Actually, I think you do. I don't want revenge. Good. I don't want to destroy Ryan's life. Even better. I just want to protect what's left of mine. Rebecca nodded. Then we start planning, not reacting. She opened a legal pad. First question. I waited. Does your wife know you know? No. Keep it that way. Why? Because calm people make better decisions than desperate people. I leaned forward. So what happens now? You quietly prepare. Prepare what? Everything. She began making a list. Your business. Your savings. Retirement accounts. Property. Insurance. She looked at me. And most importantly, Ryan. I lowered my eyes. Is the only reason I stayed this long. I believe you. She closed the folder. Your goal isn't to punish Emma. It's to make sure her choices don't ruin your future. For the first time in months, someone had given me a direction instead of sympathy. I can do that. I know. Over the next several weeks, I followed every instruction. Rebecca helped me separate business accounts legally. We updated company ownership records. Important financial documents moved into secure storage. Everything happened quietly. Everything happened legally. Emma noticed nothing. One evening she smiled while setting dinner on the table. You've been working even harder lately. I've had a lot to organize. She laughed. I hope all this hard work leads to a vacation. Maybe someday. She reached across the table. We deserve one. The irony almost made me smile. Ryan looked between us. You two should definitely travel. Emma winked at him. See? Even our son agrees. I'll think about it, I replied. After dinner, Ryan followed me into the garage. Dad. Yeah. Can we talk? I closed the toolbox. Of course. He shifted nervously. Did I do something wrong? No. You've been different. In what way? You don't laugh as much. I forced a smile. I guess I've been tired. You always say that. He looked down. Mom says work is stressing you out. She's probably right. He kicked lightly at the concrete floor. I miss hanging out with you. The words hit harder than any evidence Sarah had ever handed me. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. I do. When all this work is finished, let's spend a whole weekend together. His face brightened. Really? I promise. He hugged me before running back inside. I stood alone in the garage fighting tears. Lucas called later that night. How did the meeting with Rebecca go? Better than I expected. She knows what she's doing. She told me not to chase revenge. Lucas laughed quietly. Smart woman. She said patience protects the future. I've been telling you that for 3 years. I know. You finally believe me. I think I'm starting to. There was a long silence. Then Lucas asked softly, How's Ryan? He notices everything. He loves you. I don't want him caught in the middle. You won't let that happen. I hope not. You protected him this long. His confidence steadied me. The following afternoon, Sarah sent another message. Emma meeting Adrian. Same hotel. Room 814. I stared at the notification. 3 years ago, I would have driven there. Demanded answers. Started a fight. Now I simply saved the report inside the folder. Emma returned home 2 hours later carrying shopping bags. You wouldn't believe the traffic. I can imagine. She smiled naturally. I bought you a new tie. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She handed me the gift. I thanked her. She hugged me. For a brief second, I remembered the woman I married instead of the stranger standing in front of me. Then her phone vibrated. She stepped into the hallway to answer it. I'll only be a minute. I already knew whose voice waited on the other end. I didn't follow. I didn't listen. I no longer needed more proof. A week later, I sat in Rebecca's office once again. She reviewed every document one final time. Your finances are protected. She checked another page. Your business is secure. Another page. The evidence is overwhelming. She closed the last folder and looked directly at me. I've spent 3 years waiting. You have. I've prepared everything. You have. My heart pounded. Rebecca gently slid the investigation file toward me. You're finally ready. I swallowed. She spoke calmly, her voice steady and certain. Now the choice belongs to you. I had imagined this night hundreds of times. In some versions, I shouted. In others, I walked away without saying a word. Instead, I chose peace. Rebecca's advice echoed in my mind. Let the truth speak for you. I reserved a private dining room at the nicest restaurant in the city. Emma smiled when she read the invitation. This is beautiful. I thought our anniversary deserved something special. She wrapped her arms around me. I knew we could still make more memories together. I quietly answered, so did I. She never noticed the second meaning. By 7 o'clock, everyone had arrived. Ryan sat beside me. Emma sat across from me. Her parents, Michael and Diane, smiled warmly. My parents joined us. Lucas quietly took the seat beside me. Emma looked around the table. I love seeing everyone together. Her mother laughed. It feels just like old times. Emma reached for my hand. I couldn't ask for a better family. I looked into her eyes. Neither could I. The waiter served appetizers. Conversations filled the room. Ryan talked about school. Lucas joked about work. Emma laughed comfortably. She looked completely relaxed. Then her phone vibrated beneath the table. I watched her glance down. A tiny smile appeared. She typed a quick reply without anyone noticing. Almost no one. I noticed everything. Dinner continued. Wine glasses were filled. Main courses arrived. Emma lifted her glass. I want to thank everyone for celebrating with us. Her father smiled proudly. You two have built a wonderful life. Emma looked at me. I've been blessed with an amazing husband. I slowly stood. So have I. Everyone smiled. I actually prepared something tonight. Emma clapped softly. A speech. In a way. Lucas quietly slid a black leather folder toward me. Emma looked curious. What's that? Our story. She laughed. You've become romantic. I have. I opened the folder. The first photograph was taken 3 years ago. I placed it in the center of the table. Emma's smile disappeared. She recognized the hotel immediately. Her mother frowned. What is this? I calmly answered. A place my wife visited many times. Emma swallowed. Mark. I gently raised my hand. Please. The room became silent. I placed another photograph beside the first. Then another. Hotel entrances. Restaurants. Train stations. Emma and Adrian together. Holding hands. Laughing. Kissing. Ryan stared without blinking. Dad. I couldn't look at him. Not yet, son. Emma reached toward the photographs. This isn't. I interrupted quietly. Finished. Lucas handed me another folder. I removed printed phone records. I hired a licensed investigator. I laid the reports across the table. These contained dates, locations, phone calls, financial records. Emma's father picked one up. His hands started shaking. No. Her mother covered her mouth. Emma. Ryan looked at his mother. Tell me this isn't real. She couldn't answer. Instead, she looked at me. You followed me. For 3 years. Her face turned pale. You knew. I knew. Her voice broke. All this time. Every day. Tears filled her eyes. Why didn't you say anything? I answered honestly. Because Ryan deserved stability. Because I needed the truth. Because anger would have solved nothing. She buried her face in her hands. I'm sorry. I slowly shook my head. Not yet. I placed one final document onto the table. Bank statements. Hotel payments. Travel reservations. Everything carefully organized. Rebecca had prepared every page. Every date matched. Every receipt confirmed another lie. Emma's father pushed his chair back. How long? I answered before Emma could. 3 years. The room became impossibly quiet. Ryan finally spoke. Mom. His voice trembled. Please tell me Dad is wrong. Emma cried harder. She couldn't finish. Ryan stood abruptly. You promised. No one moved. No one breathed. Emma reached toward him. Ryan. He stepped away. Don't. At that exact moment her phone rang. The screen lit across the table. Adrian calling. Everyone saw it. Emma froze. Lucas calmly looked at me. I nodded once. Answer it. Emma whispered. Please. Answer. With trembling hands she accepted the call. Hello. Adrian's voice echoed through the speaker. Where are you? You said tonight we'd finally tell him everything. The room went completely still. Emma closed her eyes. Adrian. What's wrong? Why aren't you talking? I spoke calmly. I'm here. Silence. Then Adrian answered cautiously. Who is this? I'm Emma's husband. Nothing. Then the line disconnected. 5 minutes later the restaurant manager entered nervously. Excuse me. There's a gentleman asking for Mrs. Carter. I looked at Emma. Invite him in. She whispered desperately. Mark, please don't. It's too late. Seconds later, Adrian walked into the private dining room. He smiled at first. Then he saw every photograph covering the table. Every family member staring at him. Every report. Every receipt. His smile vanished. Emma stood up. You shouldn't have come. He looked around helplessly. I thought. You thought I knew nothing. I finished. Neither of them answered. Ryan stared at Adrian with tears running down his face. You're the reason. Adrian lowered his eyes. No, I said calmly. Don't explain. Emma reached toward me. I can fix this. I looked at her for a long moment. For 3 years I had imagined hearing those words. They meant nothing now. You had 3 years. She broke down completely. I never wanted this. I quietly closed the final folder. The evidence says otherwise. Nobody shouted. Nobody argued. Nobody defended Emma. The photographs. The messages. The receipts. The investigation reports. They spoke more clearly than anger ever could. Emma looked at me with complete disbelief. You really knew all along. I met her eyes one last time. Yes. For the first time in 3 years, the lie no longer belonged to me. It belonged entirely to her. I watched Emma walk out of the restaurant alone. No one followed her. Not her parents. Not Ryan. Not Adrian. The silence around that moment felt louder than any argument could have been. Ryan stood beside me, staring at the closed door. Dad. I turned toward him. I'm here. His eyes were red. Was every picture real? Yes. He looked down. Every message. Yes. He covered his face with both hands. I don't understand. I placed a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to understand tonight. He nodded slowly. I don't want to go home. You don't have to. That night Ryan stayed with me. Neither of us slept much. The next morning he walked into the kitchen while I was making coffee. He looked exhausted. Can I stay here for a while? I set my cup down. You never have to ask. I just... He struggled to find the words. I can't look at Mom right now. I know. He sat across from me. Did she ever love us? The question hurt more than anything Emma had done. I answered honestly. I believe she loved us. Then why? I don't have an answer. Ryan stared at the table. I always thought our family was perfect. So did I. A few hours later my phone rang. Emma. I let it ring until voicemail. A second later another call came. Then another. Finally a message appeared. Please let me explain. I placed the phone face down. Ryan noticed. Mom. Yes. You don't have to answer. I'm not going to. That afternoon Lucas stopped by with takeout. He handed Ryan a bag. Double cheeseburger. Ryan managed a weak smile. You remembered. I always remember. Ryan carried his food upstairs. Lucas waited until the bedroom door closed. How are you holding up? I expected to feel satisfied. And I don't. What do you feel? I looked toward the stairs. Sad. Lucas nodded. That's normal. I spent 3 years imagining that dinner. I know. I thought exposing the truth would fix something. It doesn't. He sat beside me. Karma isn't supposed to make you happy. No. It simply lets people face the consequences of their own choices. His words stayed with me. Later that evening another message arrived from Emma. Please meet me once. I never wanted to destroy our family. I agreed to meet her in a quiet public park. She arrived wearing no makeup. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She stopped several feet away. You look tired. So do you. She lowered her head. I deserve that. I remained silent. She took a deep breath. I never planned for any of this. I believe you. Her eyes lifted in surprise. You do. I believe you never planned to get caught. She flinched. No, I mean, I never wanted to hurt Ryan. But you did. I know. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. Tears rolled down her face. I kept telling myself I'd end it. When? I don't know. 3 years wasn't enough time. She couldn't answer. I was scared. So was I. She looked at me. I still love you. I gently shook my head. You loved having me. That's different. It is. She reached toward me. I'll do anything. I asked for honesty. I can be honest now. I stepped back. I needed it 3 years ago. She began crying again. I'm sorry. I know. But apologies don't erase choices. She whispered. Please don't take Ryan away from me. I'm not. He won't even answer my calls. He needs time. So do you. She slowly nodded. I understand. For the first time, I believe she actually did. Over the next few weeks, everything around Emma began falling apart. Mutual friends stopped inviting her to gatherings. Some quietly unfollowed her online. Others refused to answer her messages. Her parents remained polite but deeply disappointed. No one defended what she had done. Then Sarah called me. I thought you should know something. What happened? Adrian moved out of his apartment. So? He left town. I wasn't surprised. Did he contact Emma? Once. And he ended the relationship. I closed my eyes. What did he say? Sarah looked at her notes. He told her the excitement disappeared once the secret was gone. I thanked her and ended the call. That evening, Lucas smiled sadly. I guess Adrian wasn't willing to fight for love. It wasn't love. No, it never was. A month later, Rebecca invited me to her office. She slid several documents across the desk. The divorce agreement is complete. I reviewed every page. My business. Protected. My savings. Protected. Ryan. She smiled. The custody arrangement gives him the freedom to spend time with both parents. I nodded gratefully. Thank you. Rebecca closed the folder. You spent years preparing for this. I wish I never had to. I know. I left her office feeling strangely light. Not because I had won, because I had finally stopped carrying a burden that was never mine to begin with. Emma's world had collapsed without me seeking revenge. Lucas had been right all along. Sometimes karma needs no help. Sometimes the hardest punishment is simply forcing someone to live with the truth they created. The courthouse felt colder than I remembered. Ryan walked beside me without saying a word. Rebecca carried a leather folder under her arm. You ready? She asked. I took a slow breath. As ready as I'll ever be. She nodded. Then let's finish this. We entered the courtroom together. Emma was already sitting with her attorney. For a brief moment our eyes met. She looked thinner, tired. The confidence she once carried had completely disappeared. She quietly looked away. The judge entered. Everyone stood. After a few formal statements, the hearing began. Rebecca presented the settlement we had already negotiated. The judge reviewed every page carefully. Then he looked toward Emma. Mrs. Carter, do you understand the terms before you? Yes, Your Honor. Do you accept them voluntarily? Emma swallowed. Yes. The judge adjusted his glasses. Is there anything either party wishes to add before this court reaches its final decision? Emma slowly stood. Her attorney looked surprised. She wiped a tear from her cheek. I would like to say something. The judge nodded. You may. Emma looked directly at me. For the first time in years, she wasn't pretending. I spent years believing my husband would never leave me. The courtroom remained silent. I thought he loved me too much. She lowered her head. I believed I could keep making promises while breaking them. Another tear rolled down her face. I underestimated his strength. She paused, and I overestimated my ability to hide the truth forever. Nobody interrupted her. She continued. I kept telling myself there would always be another tomorrow. She looked at Ryan. I thought I could fix everything before anyone found out. Her voice broke. I was wrong. Ryan stared at the floor. The judge remained quiet. Emma took one final breath. I have no excuses. I made my choices. And now I'm living with them. She slowly returned to her seat. Rebecca whispered to me. That may be the most honest thing she's said in years. I quietly nodded. I think you're right. A few minutes later, the judge signed the final documents. This court officially grants the divorce. The sound of his pen against the paper marked the end of 18 years of marriage. I expected relief. Instead, I felt something closer to grief. Not for the marriage. For the life I thought we were going to have. Outside the courtroom, Ryan stopped walking. "Mom." Emma turned immediately. "Ryan." He looked at her with tears filling his eyes. "I need to ask you something." "Anything." "When did you stop loving Dad?" She closed her eyes. "I never stopped." Ryan frowned. "Then why did you do it?" She struggled to answer. "I don't know." "That's not an answer." "I know." "Were we not enough?" Her shoulders shook. "You were always enough." "Then why?" She covered her mouth. "I was selfish." Ryan looked at her for a long moment. "I spent months trying to understand." "I'm so sorry." "I know." He wiped his eyes. "But sorry doesn't change what happened." "No. I trusted you." "I know." "You didn't just lie to Dad. You lied to me too." Emma nodded silently. "I did." Ryan stepped back. "I hope one day I can forgive you. I'll wait as long as it takes." He quietly walked toward my car. Emma watched him leave without trying to stop him. She knew she had already asked too much. Rebecca shook my hand. "Everything is finished." "Thank you. You protected your future. I couldn't have done it alone." She smiled warmly. "You don't have to carry this anymore." Lucas walked over from the parking lot. "Mind if I steal him for a minute?" Rebecca laughed. "Go ahead." Lucas handed me a cup of coffee. "You okay?" "I think so." "You don't sound convinced." "I thought winning would feel different." "This was never about winning." "I know. It was about surviving." He patted my shoulder. "And you did." As we talked, I noticed Emma sitting alone on a bench outside the courthouse. No family surrounded her. No friends waited nearby. Adrian was gone. Everyone who had once encouraged her choices had disappeared. Only the consequences remained. I walked over quietly. She looked up. "I wasn't expecting you." "I know." She held the divorce papers tightly. "I keep reading my name." I sat beside her. "It doesn't feel real." "No." She laughed bitterly. "I traded 18 years for someone who disappeared the moment life became difficult." I didn't answer. She looked at me. "Adrian left without saying goodbye." I heard. He said the relationship stopped being exciting after everyone knew. She smiled through tears. "I destroyed my family for someone who couldn't stay one extra week." Silence settled between us. Finally she whispered, "If I could go back." I waited. "I would erase the very first lie." She looked directly into my eyes. "I would trade everything. The house. The money. My pride. Everything. I believe you." She cried harder. "Can you ever forgive me?" I looked toward the courthouse behind us. For years I had imagined this question. Now the answer came easily. "Yes." She stared at me in disbelief. "You can." "I already have." Hope appeared in her eyes for the first time. I gently shook my head. "Don't misunderstand." Her expression slowly changed. "I forgive you because I don't want to carry this pain anymore." I took a slow breath. "But forgiveness doesn't rebuild trust." She lowered her eyes. "I know. It doesn't erase choices." "I know. It doesn't give us another marriage." Tears slipped down her face again. "I understand." I stood up. "I truly hope you find peace someday." She nodded weakly. "And you?" I smiled for the first time in a long while. "I'm finally going to." As I walked away, she didn't call my name. She simply watched me leave. At last, she understood the hardest truth of all. Sometimes forgiveness is real, but another chance never comes back. A full year passed before I realized I had gone an entire week without thinking about the affair. That surprised me more than anything else. Not because I had forgotten, because the memories no longer controlled me. One Saturday morning, Ryan walked into the kitchen carrying 2 fishing rods. "You ready, Dad?" I smiled. "I've been ready for 20 minutes. He laughed. "I knew you'd say that. You still take forever." "I learned that from Mom." The words hung between us for a second. Neither of us looked away. Ryan smiled gently. "We're getting better at talking about things." "We are." He nodded. I like that. So do I. We drove to a quiet lake outside the city, the same place where I had taught him how to fish when he was 8 years old. He cast his line into the water. I almost forgot how peaceful this place is. I never did. He glanced at me. Dad. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For never making me choose between you and Mom. I looked at the calm water. That wasn't your choice to make. I know. He smiled. But you made it easier. I tried. He laughed. You did more than try. We spent hours talking about school, college, music, and life. For the first time in years, our conversations felt effortless. There were no hidden fears, no unanswered questions, only honesty. A week later, Lucas stopped by my office carrying a pizza. He walked in without knocking, just like always. I figured successful businessmen still forget to eat. I laughed. Some habits never change. He placed the pizza on my desk. So, you look happy. I think I am. He sat across from me. Good. You earned it. I shook my head. No, I chose it. Lucas smiled proudly. That's even better. I looked at him. You know something? What? You're the closest thing I've ever had to a brother. He laughed. I was wondering how long it would take you to admit that. I should have said it years ago. You just did. We bumped fists like we had done since college. Some people share your blood. Others help save your life. Lucas had done the second. A few days later, Rebecca called. Are you free for lunch? I can make time. She smiled when I arrived at the cafe. No legal documents today. I'm relieved. She laughed. I thought we could talk like normal people. I'd like that. We spent 2 hours discussing books, travel, work, and Ryan's plans for college. Not once did we mention court. Not once did we mention Emma. When lunch ended, Rebecca looked at me. You've changed. I hope that's a good thing. It is. How? You don't speak like a man trying to survive anymore. What do I sound like? A man who's finally living. I smiled. I think you're right. She stood. I'm glad. So am I. There was no pressure, no dramatic confession, just the quiet possibility that life could still surprise me someday. That was enough. One evening I drove alone to the small lakeside where Emma and I had once dreamed about growing old together. The old wooden bench still overlooked the water. I sat there watching the sunset. Years earlier I had promised myself I would never return. Now I was grateful that I had. I remembered our first date, our wedding, Ryan's birth, family vacations. I also remembered the lies, the tears, the betrayal. For the first time, none of those memories filled me with anger. Instead, they reminded me how far I had come. I quietly spoke into the evening air. I hope you find peace, Emma. The wind carried the words across the lake. There was no bitterness left inside me, only acceptance. My phone vibrated. Ryan. Hey, Dad. Hey. Just wanted to tell you something. I'm listening. I got accepted. My heart jumped. Accepted where? The engineering program. I laughed louder than I had in years. I knew you could do it. I learned from you. No, you learned from yourself. He chuckled. I'll be home in an hour. I'll order your favorite dinner. Deal. After the call ended, I looked across the water one last time. 3 years of betrayal had almost convinced me I wasn't enough. 1 year of healing proved I always had been. As I walked back toward my car, I realized something that would stay with me forever. My greatest victory was never exposing the affair. It was refusing to let 3 years of lies decide the rest of my life. Real strength didn't begin the day I revealed the truth. It began the day I stopped pretending everything was fine. I started choosing honesty instead of fear, peace instead of revenge, hope instead of regret. Life had not become perfect. It had become real. And somehow, that was even better. As I drove home, the setting sun filled the road ahead with warm golden light. For the first time in years, I wasn't driving away from my past. I was driving toward my future. In that quiet moment, I finally understood what winning truly meant. It wasn't making someone else lose. It was finding myself again after believing I had been lost forever. That was the victory no one could ever take from me.